Good time zone, Games Done Quick Committee. I am the ThePiPiper. I'm here to show you Hi Piper, and I am here to show you a speedrun you've probably never seen before. We are going to be doing 2 games at once. We are going to be doing a Zelda themed double speedrun. So what we have above me right now is Link's Crossbow Training, which was a game released with the Wii Zapper in 2007. $20 got you a Wii Zapper and this amazing game. And then over to my right on screen, your left, you see the Game & Watch Gallery 4. We're going to be playing a game from the Zelda archives that you've probably never even heard of. In 1989, Nintendo, before the Game Boy was even out, released Zelda for the Game & Watch system. It was then re-released in the 2000s for Game Boy Advance on the last and final Game & Watch Collection number 4, also known as the Game & Watch Advance in other countries. And it is the hardest game to unlock in that, as it requires you to beat all of the games in it to fully unlock it. But don't worry, we've already gone ahead and unlocked it. So you can see I have both games pulled up. We're going to be, let me move this there. And we're going to be going into our museum and doing Zelda. So the objective of our game and what we're going to be doing is that we are going to be doing over up here on Link's Crossbow Training. We do not have the Wii Zapper. I may acquire one before GDQ. I don't know where mine went. Lost in some move. We're going to be beating Score Attack on a brand new file. This is one of our first incentives where we're going to be able to be doing a named save file, so I can make a me, and then we'll have that me, or we can choose which color Link we want to do. Purple's my favorite color, so we always do that. We always start on a new save file for this. The objective of this is that we need to beat the final boss. To do that, we must beat levels 3 through final. We must, to unlock each level, we must score a score over 20,000 points across 3 stages. Now, here's the thing. How can I play 2 games at once, you're probably asking? How are we going to speedrun this? Well, I am so good at this game that I don't even need to play stages 1 or 2. We can get 20,000 on stage 3 of each level. Level 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8 in the finale are our 2 bosses. We have a Dark Knight we must battle, and then we have a crazy dragon guy that we must battle in the level final. And those get beat as soon as we destroy them, and hopefully we get the time bonus to beat through them. So there's tons of time to be able to switch between the game, and just playing the game by itself, in my opinion, is kind of boring. So what do we do for fun? While we're sitting there in stages 1 and 2 auto scroll, we play Zelda for Game & Watch. So we'll be going over that as we play it. So without further ado, let's get a countdown going. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. My bad. I started the timer wrong. Let's get a proper countdown going here once we hit this start. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so we're gonna see that guy up there, but boom, wada bing, we are now over here playing this guy. So Zelda for the Game & Watch. Just like all other Game & Watch games, it looks very similar, and our objective for this guy, similar to the original Zelda, is that we have to collect all the pieces of the Triforce. There are 8 pieces of the Triforce in this, and we get them by defeating the dragons. So we got to beat 8 dungeons, 8 dragons, 8 pieces of the Triforce, and moving forward. So what we're doing is we're killing these goblins up here. One of the biggest things about this is that you're going to see, ooh, we got hit. That was unfortunate. Trying to use our shield. So every time we attack, our shield moves behind us. So that allows us to go through that. And then you can see us moving back and forth to try and avoid things. During each level you can get, or during each dungeon, you can get up to 3 items. Those 3 items are the Tomahawk, which does triple damage to the boss, the map, which shows us the map that we can see above, and the Water of Life, which works just like a fairy in the traditional games, where it will fully heal us, and if we die, it'll give us full health. Now, the full health is 5 hearts in this game, just like all other Zelda games. Once you have full life, what ends up happening is that you get a sword beam. Now that sword beam is super important as it allows us to double hit guys, and it's the only way for us to do ranged attacks in this game. All right, we're gonna beat this boss, then we'll go over to crossbow training here in a second. So we're just gonna focus on this, avoid that, avoid the fire. We're avoiding the tail and the fire. All right, and he's done. So now we can switch to this game, move over to stage 2. We've already beat our first dungeon on that one. And let's go. This is another auto-scroller, so enjoy the music and everything in that bottom right. And we're going to take our water life so we can do double damage on this guy. Oh no, we took a hit. That's all right. I unfortunately moved back into the posed death, but we'll be able to get either a heart or another life water. And I forgot to... Ooh, we do not split there. We should be gaining a water life on here. So what we're doing on the Game & Watch to note is that we have guys below us that are stabbing from below. We have the goblin, which is who we have to defeat in every single level. So you're going to see us trying to dodge below and trying to dodge him when he shoots stuff at us. So he's shooting something at us. And then also watching out for our enemies behind us. We're going to be primarily moving through the left path. There is one dungeon that we will go through the right path just to be able to get the ability to we'll beat this level real quick. Nice. And then before going into this next dungeon, we'll be going over to our Wii U. We're now focusing on this. This is stage 3, which is going to be a defender level. Defender levels are where we stand still and we need to defend ourselves from enemies coming at us. This is one of the many types of levels that we have in this game. The main that we're going to be focusing on are boss, defender, and ranger, as those are the primary ones that we have to. The target levels we don't play that much of. They do exist. The most important thing of playing with this one is you can see every time we hit an enemy, our counter goes up, which increases our score. So what we don't want to do is miss a single enemy, which I just did. Wow, I like commentator's cursed on myself. I'm panicking because we gotta get 20,000 on here. We should... Oh, I am really goofing this up. It's gonna be close. Alright, and we hit that score. Alright. So one of the reasons that we don't be playing all of our games, as you might not be able to see, is that takes time to count up. So getting 0 scores on stage 0 on 1 and 2 actually saves us about 5 to 10 seconds of that time in which we'd be counting up our level score. So we're completely avoiding that by doing this. So not only is it smarter not to play these levels, because we don't have to waste energy, but also it means that we are doing the speedrun thing and going faster. But now we're on to our next thing, and my controller has... Nope, we're good. Alright, I thought my controller disconnected. And we're on our next boss fight for dungeon number 2, and I did forget to split, so let me do that real quick. Alright, should be good. Avoiding the tails again. So the story in the Zelda game that's going on our left, or actually right above us right now, on the Game Boy, is that the dragons and humans cannot live together for some reason, and so the dragons decided to kidnap Princess Zelda as the princess of the humans, and so through that we're trying to save her from these dragons, so we have to kill all the dragons going through. The levels end up getting harder and harder as we get new types, not really necessarily new types of enemies, but we get more enemies coming at us, and we need to make sure that we're doing a really good job at avoiding all of these guns. We want to spend as much time near the front as we can, because every time that we have our full beam, we're shooting him with the beam and we're hitting him with our regular sword, doing double damage. So you'll see these go a lot faster than in general. We'll see this line up here a lot where we have 3 guys stabbing below us, and we're going to be doing a lot to dodge them. Now the big thing to note is normally without the sword beam I have no way of hitting him except moving forward. So that's why it's a huge time save for us to be able to go and do that. We're pausing there real quick. I'm not going to switch the screens, just for us to go to our next defender level. There we go. And we're back, moving on to Zelda for the Game & Watch. I probably shouldn't pause there, actually. I think we wasted some time, but that's all right. So doing that damage, then we can see that same setup, and then we gotta be careful right there for the Poe. Now we don't want to get shot, and we did. Uh-oh, so we're down life. But we have a water life that we can use anytime we need. So we're able to shoot him from back here. And then we can move up here. And it's super important for us to try and keep it and just have that double attack. All right. I think this is a great time for some donations while we just move into our next boss fight over here and our alarms go crazy over on Crossbow Train. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. All right, we got about 10 seconds there. I think I'll be entering the boss fight, and we got another Water of Life, which is great. All right, we'll actually hold off on that. And we're going to be moving on to our next crossbow training. All right, and this is going to be our first ranger. So for rangers, we're actually going to be using the nunchuck to move around, and we're going to be killing all of these spiders. Now there's a few quick tricks in here. Now the levels like this are kind of annoying because even if you defeat all the enemies, the timer keeps going and you're stuck playing this. So, however, since we're playing 2 games, it's really important for us to make our way through here as quickly as possible so we can get back to our second game. Come on. All right, we get this guy. We get this guy. Nice, we got him out of the sky. And then we should have this guy fall on us here. There we go. And then we should just be able to go back over here. Unfortunately, they did not come at me like they normally do. And we have 20,000 points, so we're just going to put that controller down and switch back to our Game Boy game and move on. The game does that on purpose, as it does have a multi-scoring system. So it's 20,000 is our minimum to get copper, 40,000 for silver, I believe 80,000 for gold, 100,000 for platinum. So it gives you this time to go shoot extra targets around the camp to increase your score. So that was kind of the idea with the level. For us though, it's, oh no, we got hit. That's all right. It's pretty boring. All right, we've officially beat stage 4, so we can split there. And we're going to be moving to level 5. We need to make sure that we pause our Game Boy game because our next level just automatically goes into it. And over to level 5 where we'll be starting and having target practices that we're once again ignoring and moving into and waiting to our next defender level. All right. We did take damage, but we can use our water life that we earned during the last dungeon, which will then allow us to shoot here. We need to be careful about that. So you'll see me stop attacking to leave my shield in the down position when he shoots. That way we don't have any issues. You can tell when he's going to shoot because he changes his weapon briefly. Then we just need to always be attacking. That was close. And we got another water life, so we get to live all right. This is our 4th dungeon, so we're going to be sticking left mostly. And then dungeon number 5 will be going through all the levels. Ooh, he shot us in a way that I was not expecting. But we have that water of life, so we'll be using that. And we should be good to go. This is a great time for some donations right now, as we're just making our way downtown. Nice, we didn't get hit. I was afraid that we were, but I risked it for the biscuit, and we ate good. Just imagine donations going on right now. Talking about our upcoming incentives, other things like that. And we got another water of life. Perfect. And sticking left again. But we're in between levels, so we're going to hold off, go into our boss in this dungeon. And moving on to stage 2 real quick. Doing a little bit of double play. Alright, another defender level into here. These are the ones that get a little annoying because we will have the alarms going off. But we can keep the game quiet, no big deal. Alright, and we do have another water of life, but we do not want to use it. So once again, just avoiding the falling fire and the tail as it swoops in to hit us. And we're great for incentives and other things. Alright, let's talk about Link's crossbow training. So, I don't have the zapper anymore. I did buy this game for it. It's a weird game because it was developed originally to have a storyline, and then they tossed that away. It went through a few different name changes over its development, where they tried to do like Introduction to the Zapper, which was a take on Introduction to the Wii, which is the original Wii Sports name, I believe. That was created for Japan. Ooh, that was close. I almost messed that up. We'll kill this guy, and then we'll be able to move on to our next. All right. We are on our 5th dungeon, so we'll be going a different path. But before we go on our different path, we'll be doing our next ranger, the shootout. It then went through Legend of Zelda Phantom Crossbow was a name, but they were afraid that people would think that was more of a full game than it actually is, as it is just like a quick shoot 'em up or moving through. All right. I think our volume went up higher than it's supposed to. Just barely dodged that fire. Our biggest thing that's going to save us here is our time. So we're just trying to go quick once again because we want the time save, but also because we want to... Ooh, he got us. And I don't think I got him. There we go. Gotta get these sleepy guys in here. Alright, now we just got a last few guys to get. This guy up here, and these guys over here. There we go. And we got over 20,000, so we can go back to playing our Game Boy game. And then this is Dungeon 5, so we go to the right, which is unusual for us, but we're doing that so we can get the Tomahawk. One of those 3 weapons I mentioned earlier. That we can get in each dungeon. The map's not really useful for us as we know the paths that we want to go, but the Tomahawk does triple damage and ends up saving us time, as this is the quickest way to get the Tomahawk. In other dungeons we'd have to do 2 to 3 extra levels, but in this one, since we only have to do 1, and then when you get to beat the boss in 1/3 of the time, it makes a big difference. Ooh, that was lucky. I almost died there. Alright, we'll be able to beat this level real quick before moving back over to starting stage number 6 or level number 6 over on Crossbow Train. So we want to get that all aligned, so we're quick to our split, and now we're going to ignore some target practice. Come on, let's go. All right, and back to our Game Boy game. And more of the same, nothing crazy. But yeah, so the Zapper was a really cool thing. I do think that this game, I absolutely loved it when it came out. And it just felt like a good deal. It's really enjoyable. It was, you got a game and a cool thing for $20. So what else more can you want? The Game & Watch system's pretty cool too. So this game actually originally, you can see we now have the Tomahawk there. This game originally came out for the dual screens. So you can kind of see where like that dual screen would look like in this. You can see how quick that boss fight was with the Tomahawk. So you can kind of see what that looked like and how it's changed for the Game Boy Advance to be all fit onto one screen, which is a pretty neat transition. It was then released back in 1998 for a watch keychain version, which is pretty cool. What you saw us do right there actually was we're going to be moving here to have that guy stay there so we can spend more time up front, which is the strategy there. Before moving on, let's get ourselves set up to be able to... Hello? Oh, emotion controls. How we love you such. This is a weird level where I'll probably end up with a score, which loses us time because they end up breaking stuff for us. These, like, moblins, which is pretty funny. Alright, I stood still there for a little bit longer just so I'd make sure that we didn't get hit by the gun. Alright. We're doing really good on Zelda, but I will say levels 7 and 8 are just like ramp the difficulty up greatly over on Game & Watch. You know, it was a... honestly, this game received a lot of positive feedback. People were really impressed in like how well it captured the Zelda look. From Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 were already out. A lot of people said that this replicated that Zelda 2 vibe in a lot of ways because there's that 2D side scroller. See, we have points over on Crossbow Training. I'm not even playing the game. Absolutely insane. Alright, and onto boss fight. We will pause here. an easy dodge point to be able to transition over to our stage 3. Somehow we end up with positive points and then negative points. Absolutely crazy. We didn't even play the game. All right, this is another ranger. These are enemies that I don't recall ever seeing in the Zelda games, so they're specifically, as far as I can remember, designed for this game. They are interesting in the fact that they do block your crossbow shots, but if they throw their spear at you, you can get them on their first shot, just like that. For that guy, we did not want that to happen. That's quite unfortunate, because this is, once again, we're trying to get that 20,000 points, but we get most of that from our time bonus, so we just need to be quick. It's kind of our general goal here. Wow, we are getting hit left and right. Wow, holy cow. I'm trying to dodge them, and they're just going crazy on me. Get this guy, get this guy. Wow, just barely dodged that. Hopefully we're quick enough to get our 20,000. And we have it. Perfect. And we can go back to our Game Boy and see where we're at in the... Ooh, it's really hard to take those pauses and kind of remember where you're at in the cycle on whether or not it's going to be moving down again. So it's really hard. You gotta be really careful about when you're pausing in this game. Because the other thing is, we don't want to lose time, because we're speed running 2 games at once. Alright. And we just let that keep going. See how much quicker that last boss was when we had the tomahawk versus this? But the tomahawk's actually like about midway through in this level. So that was pretty good timing. We will have our finger ready for the pause button for our other game as we get ready to move into level 7. Alright, and we'll pause there. We'll split there. And over to level 7. And we're just doing more target practice. This will get annoying again with our warnings coming at us like Cleopatra. Alright, we move forward as always to try and get as much. Now we really need to stand still so we don't get shot. Basically, if you're moving and attacking, that's how you get shot by these enemies. And something you really don't want to happen. So you gotta be really time everything careful. And we killed that. That was incredible. It was a really good level 7. Alright. And moving over to this guy where we try and move up a bit. And then we got this pattern pretty much down. That was a risky move, but we went for it. Some things about the Game & Watch, if you haven't noticed, the bottom right is our Goblin's score and our boss's score. So that is the timing that we are aiming to get to 0 during each. And then that's our total score and points. This does have a part 2. So if you beat the game, you can hold the attack button and actually go into like a new game plus. So yes, new game plus, where the enemies move faster. Oh no. All right, don't worry. We'll use our water of life to be able to get him again. He's gonna bring out his gun. We'll be all right. We will see some new enemies and some redesigns from Twilight Princess over on crossbow training, which was a pretty cool design thing. Overall, Miyamoto wanted every level to take no more than 3 minutes to be able to encourage players to replay the levels to go for higher scores. So there's a lot of do's and don'ts put into the game. They tried to limit boss fights a lot because they wanted it to be more about the adventure and moving through. Alright, I looked up, not for any particular reason, it's just what happened. This is one of my least favorite levels over on crossbow training. I'm really glad that we don't have to play it right now, because it requires you to shoot these Lizlaflows that are flying around. This is the, once you get the double hook shot in Twilight Princess, this is that stage level where you go into. Alright, and we are going into our penultimate boss fight over in the Game & Watch world. It's been a really good run over there. I say as I get hit by the dragon. That's alright. We're not going to use our life water in here because our blaster does not do any damage on him, actually. So we cannot attack from far away. We have to attack up close only with them. So having full hearts does not make any difference here. And let's find a good place to pause as we move into another Ranger level. Now, the Temple of Time, one that we know very well. So we're going to be battling these non-flying Lizaloflos, and the hard part with them is that they fall down, and then you gotta shoot them while they're on the ground. And it's really easy to walk past them. And if you do that, then you actually will have a bad time, and you won't get the time bonus on this. So it's really important that we shoot them as many times as we can, and then also try and avoid all these negative boosts, because the time on this one is really tight. Sorry if the game volume's a little too high. I think I misadjusted it before stream. That's alright. Alright. Get this guy. Alright. 3 more enemies. We're on really good time right now. Alright, and last guy. And we got our 20,000. So we can go back to our Game Boy game. We don't have to worry about those keys flying. They shouldn't attack us, shouldn't. It is one of the things in some of the levels, if we, like the first level that we actually played, not selected, but played, one of the things we did lose some time that we could have saved playing Game & Watch, because we did miss a few shots. Because usually what you want to do is get around 25,000 on that when you're in this play setting, to be able to then have some leeway into how we're kind of playing. Alright, and we should have enough time to get a few hits into here and pause, so we can move into and split, please. Thank you. Over into level 8, which is our, where we're going to see our first boss fight, which is going to be a Dark Nut, which has a lot of strategy and where the most amount of time can be saved in this. A lot of the time that's saved right now is by not getting any points in stages 1 and 2, so it's really important to be really good at those stage 3s, and then also in our menuing. But the biggest time saves, 100% in crossbow training, are going to be during the Dark Nut fight and the final boss fight, so that's where we're going to be putting a lot of our focus. And we're back over to Game Boy land, so we're going to be consuming our life water to be able to get those hits so we can attack him from back here. He shot us when I wasn't expecting it. Alright, so this is when things get hard. So now, since we don't have any water or life, we're going to have to be... We're going to see how long these battles actually take. They are quite difficult when you don't have... When you can only attack him when he's up front. Because we have to dodge everything from below. Dodge him. And it takes a lot more time. So this is why it seemed like we were on really good pacing, and it mostly were. And we did some good dodges there. But unfortunately, getting those hits. But he gave us new water of life, so we'll be able to start zooming through this in no time at all. We got about 10 seconds. Yeah, we'll hit our next level. We'll consume some life water. Shoot at him. Let that do its job. And pause real quick and get our menuing back over here. Anywhere in the 30s for this game is actually a good record board position, so we're actually doing quite well on crossbow training. It's actually going to be a very competitive time. Alright, that's shooting at us, and now we can move back up here. We had that water of life. Hopefully we don't get shot again. They do more attacks at this time. And they are moving a little bit faster with mostly the same pattern below. We want to keep... There we go. Oh, we got hit again. Alright, this is going to make this quite a difficult dungeon, as that usually is our only life water. Sometimes we will get a piece of heart, which will then allow us... Don't worry, there's no negative scores over in crossbow. We're just stuck at 0. As if we get a heart and we don't get hit again, we'll be able to move on. But that was our biggest time loss over here. Alright, we do need that guy. He is a little RNG on when he moves forwards and back. But the rest of the guys' movement are mostly predictable. But we will be pausing and going to our Wii U to do our first boss fight. That's right, we're going to be doing the Dark Nut. Alright. Now this guy is very tricky, and we'll explain this fight as we go through. Very important. So we gotta hit him as many times as we can here, and we're gonna try and skip a cycle. Alright, so we gotta shoot those as quickly as possible. We need him to lose his armor. All right, losing his armor there allowed us to skip a cycle. Now the next cycle skip that we're going to be trying to do is he's going to turn into these fairies. We're only supposed to shoot one. That's fine. We're only supposed to be shooting one per explosion. Our goal is to shoot two, and we did it. And now we're into his final phase. And oh no, that was bad. And we got there. That was super good. Super good. 32,000. That was an incredible 8. We killed it. Killed it. And moving into our final phase, our final bosses. All right, got our bronze medal. We'll split there. And our last 3 stages. All right, start this, then we'll move back over to our final dungeon over in the Game Boy Advance Game & Watch land. All right, swapped back. All right, here we go. Move all the way back here. Yeah, you can see, like, we are just not doing damage as quickly as possible. With this guy, we are left to the land of RNG and dodging. Game overs in this game do set you back to 3 hearts, but you only have to do the stage that you died. You don't restart at the beginning of the dungeon, anything like that. So it's not too bad, but it's not great. So you really do want to try and avoid getting hit as much as possible. Hey, and we got some life water. That's exciting, but I think all that we might have left is the boss, possibly. Over on... I might be wrong. Yep, just the boss left over on this guy. So we're not going to use the life water. If we do take all of our damage, the life water will auto be used. So no concerns there. All right, and we're approaching... We got a lot of life on this boss. So we got a little bit of time. We'll probably end up pausing once. We just took a hit there. That's all right. We'll probably end up pausing once for the final boss right here, because that's a good time to pause because we have a huge break. How we got 5 points on crossbow, I have no idea. As we have a huge break in fire right now, which is an ideal time to pause as it's going to be easy to recover. All right, this is a fun defender level actually, because it is take a Majora's Mask. It introduces these puppet characters that you've never seen. It does play the Lost Woods theme, which is a banger, of course. And we are currently trying to destroy Skull Kid. So these are his puppets, so it's kind of like a cool ode to, just like how we had Temple of Time, now we have an ode to Majora's Mask. So, where this game exists in the Zelda timeline, I don't know. Ask Brian David Gilbert, maybe he can tell you. Alright, and we're about to hit time. You can see we did just take our last hit there, and our life water auto use. And time right there for Game & Watch. And we'll see Zelda get saved, and then we'll kick over to finishing up our speedrun over on the Wii U here in a second. So I'm going to stay here, hang out. As we can see, Zelda gains saved. The Triforce is reaffirmed. And we're good to go. And perfect timing as we move in. That's right, into our final boss. Our final boss. In the final stage and the most important level of Link's crossbow training. Alright, let me turn this down. Alright, Fossil Stalord. Here we go. Alright. So, there's a lot going on. We can zoom. We haven't done this at all this game. It's a fun little thing that you can do. And now we're going to be shooting his hands. Yes, not like other Zelda enemies where we shoot their eyes. We are shooting his hands. But it's basically the same idea. Alright, perfectly line this up. Come on, there we go. This is where our other major time save is. And then we shoot, he falls over. And we shoot this little bald spot on his head. Alright, now we're going to shoot more of these Avenged Sevenfold guys. And other things are going to come out at us. Alright, and shooting hand. Oh, we missed the first hand cycle. We missed the second hand cycle. That was concerning. Alright, there we go. And more guys that he's gonna vom. Nasty. We probably should have zoomed in a little bit on those. They're mostly just annoying and they will eat your... Oh god, oh god. Come on, dude. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, that's not good. That's alright. We should be alright. We should still be able to beat him. It's gonna be tricky. Alright, alright. It's going to be very hard since he's all the way up, all the way back there. Alright, we want to kill as many of these guys as possible. He's gonna walk very quickly up at us. We need to kind of ignore those guys and focus on his hands. So we got one hand down. We're now going to focus on the other one. Come on, come on, come on. What the heck? There we go. Alright, time's coming up here in a second. Here we go. Right after we shoot this bald spot to his death is going to be our time. And time! That's a 3209, over 20,000 score, which is not a requirement for this level, but that was incredible. We beat both runs in just about 30 minutes. Perfectly timed. We beat Game & Watch. We were able to move over perfectly in time. There's always ways to save ourselves, to be able to time it a little bit better, but that's it for us. I can show you real quick. One of our requirements, of course, is, as in most playthroughs, is showing all of our coppers on the save file. So we'll just go to this and you can see that we got copper on 3 through final. Thank you so much. This is a very fun, very crazy level and speedrun. I think it adds so much to the Link's crossbow training as you have so much downtime, and it really makes those ranger battles where you're just kind of left sitting, where you're encouraged to do them even faster than usual, and I think it's really cool. It's a really cool showcase of 2 non-traditional Zelda games that we usually don't see. A Game & Watch version for the Game Boy Advance, and Link's Crossbow Training, a very niche special game that came out for the Wii. So I hope you enjoyed that. I've been the ThePiPiper. Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you, GDQ, for being awesome, and I hope to be on that stage again. But that's it from me. Okay, bye. Stay safe, stay hydrated.